Hello and welcome. Have you ever stopped to think about why you act one way with your friends but completely differently with your family? Or why sometimes you make a choice that even you didn't see coming? Well, today we're diving deep into the hidden forces that are constantly, quietly shaping our every move. We're talking about the incredible world of social psychology. So, to kick things off, I want to hit you with a really big question. Just think about it for a second. Are good people, people like you and me, are we capable of doing truly terrible things? It's a heavy question for sure, but it's one of the central puzzles that social psychology tries to solve. And this is the field that steps up to the plate. Basically, social psychology is the science of us. It's all about digging into how our environment, the people we're with, the situations we're in, how all of that influences our thoughts, our feelings, and yeah, our actions. Okay, our first big idea is a game changer, the power of the situation. Look, we all like to believe we're the captain of our own ship, right? That our personality is set in stone and we're always in control. But what if I told you that the room you're in right now could have the power to make you act in ways you would never, ever predict? To really see this in action, we have to talk about one of the most famous and, frankly, most chilling experiments in history, the Stanford Prison Experiment. The researchers had a simple question. What makes prisons so brutal? Is it that they attract brutal people? Or does the prison environment itself create brutal behavior? So the setup was pretty straightforward. They literally built a fake prison in the basement of a university. They took a group of perfectly healthy, normal college students and, with a flip of a coin, made them either a guard or a prisoner. The guards got uniforms, sunglasses, billy clubs, and were told to maintain order, pretty much however they saw fit. And what happened next was staggering. Almost immediately, these ordinary students stopped playing roles and started living them. The guards became cruel, inventive in their psychological torment. And the prisoners? They became passive, broken, and emotionally distressed. It happened so fast. Now, get this. The experiment was supposed to last for 2 weeks, but the situation spiraled out of control so quickly, it became so psychologically toxic that they were forced to shut the whole thing down after just 6 days. It's just a terrifyingly powerful example of how a situation can completely warp human behavior. But that experiment wasn't a one-off. Around the same time, another researcher, Stanley Milgram, was obsessed with an equally unsettling question. How obedient are we to authority? He wanted to find out how far an ordinary person would go in harming someone else just because a person in a lab coat told them to. So here's how it worked. A volunteer, the teacher, is put in front of a machine with a bunch of switches for electric shocks. They're told to give a shock to a learner in the next room for every wrong answer. Now, the learner was just an actor, and the shocks were fake, but the teacher had no idea. With every mistake, the voltage went up, and the whole time, the experimenter in the white coat just kept saying, "Continue." Just imagine being that teacher. The actor in the other room is screaming, begging them to stop, complaining about a heart condition, and then just silence. And when you turn to the authority figure, he looks at you deadpan and says, "You have no other choice, you must go on." The pressure is immense. And this is where it gets absolutely wild. Before they ran the experiment, Milgram asked a bunch of experts how many people they thought would go all the way to the highest, most dangerous shock level. They predicted maybe 1%, just the most sadistic fringe. The reality? About 2/3 of people, 66%, went all the way to the end. The power of that authority figure was just unbelievable. Okay, so those were some pretty extreme situations, but our social world affects us in much smaller ways every single day. So next up, let's talk about how simply having other people around, just an audience, can totally change your performance. This whole idea is called social facilitation. And fun fact, it was first noticed way back in 1898. A researcher found that cyclists literally rode faster when they were racing against other people compared to when they were just racing against a stopwatch. The mere presence of competitors made them better. So, does an audience always make you a superstar? Well, not exactly. It's a bit more nuanced. A psychologist named Robert Sayonk cracked the code. He figured that having people watch you amps up your arousal, your energy level. If it's a simple task or something you've practiced a million times, that extra energy gives you a boost. But if it's a hard or new task, that same energy can actually make you tense up and perform worse. So we've seen how the outside world shapes us, but what about our inner world? The way our own mind interprets things. This is just as powerful, and it brings us to a fascinating concept called framing. So what is framing? It's really just about the way information is presented. And the key thing to get here is that the hard, cold facts often matter less than the story that's wrapped around them. Our brains love to grab onto a particular angle and run with it. Let's try a quick test. Don't pull out a calculator. Just look at this problem and give me a fast, gut-level estimate of the answer. Got a number in your head? Okay, lock it in. All right, round 2. What about this one? Same exact numbers, just in reverse. Again, just a quick guess. Is the number you just thought of different from your first one? I'm willing to bet it is. Here's the punchline. The answer to both problems is exactly the same, 40,320. But study after study shows that when we see the first problem starting with 1 times 2, we guess a really low number, like 500. But when we see the second one starting with 8 times 7, we guess much higher, like 2,000. That first number acts as an anchor, and it drags our entire estimate along with it. And this framing effect can have massive real-world consequences. Imagine you're told there's a deadly disease and you have to pick a treatment. In this frame, you're told treatment A will save 200 people. Well, that sounds like a sure thing. And look at that. The vast majority of people, 72%, pick treatment A. But now, watch this. It's the exact same problem with the exact same outcome, but we framed it negatively. 400 people will die. Suddenly, that same option sounds awful, and people's choices completely flip on their head. Now, only 22% choose option A. Nothing about the facts changed, only the frame. That's how powerful it is. So what's the big picture here? What does all this mean? It means that you, who you are, isn't just some fixed personality trait you carry around. It's a constant dance between who you are on the inside and the situation you happen to be in on the outside. So let's just recap the big takeaways. First, never, ever underestimate the power of the situation. It can make us do things we never thought possible. Second, an audience changes the game. It can boost our well-practiced skills but trip us up on new ones. And finally, the way an idea is framed isn't just fluff. It can fundamentally change the decisions we make. Knowing this stuff isn't just about passing a psychology test. It's like being handed a secret decoder ring for the world around you. So I'll leave you with this question. Now that you know about these hidden forces, what will you start to notice shaping your own choices and the choices of everyone around you as you go about your day?